luckily, the second half was competitive and there were tries scored. The first half was eminently forgettable, and let's remember, it took 51 minutes, including 6 minutes for 2 scrums, neither of which completed, one of which ran 3 minutes off Liam Williams' sin bin clock. Just not good enough. Look, England were outscored 3-1, and the attack, when you say flat, I've read subsequently, Eddie Jones said, look, we don't want people to know where it's come from, but that takes time to gel and so on. I sort of understand that, but I am not sure what he's getting at here, because structure, there's nothing wrong with structure as an overall framework. After that, you play what's in front of you, absolutely. But you can't just go out and play unstructured rugby. It just doesn't work, does it? No,
you can't, especially when you're not winning collisions, you're not getting over the gain line, you're not generating quick ball. So you need a bit of structure to be able to get you on the front foot, to then explore those unstructured opportunities. And I think what England found on Saturday was Wales were very physical. The 2-man tackles, plus they were holding England's tacklers up. They were slowing the breakdown up as well, which meant that the space that they needed to exploit to play that unstructured free-flowing rugby just wasn't there. Even when they generated a bit of quick ball, what Wales did very well then was blitz from the edges. So they really shut down England's options. And you add all those factors together, plus England's error count was high. A lot of on-first errors, I think 14 or so turnovers, 13 penalties as well. So you add in all of that, it just made it a very stop-start game. So the way England want to play, it was never going to happen because they didn't have control of the ball speed in the way that they wanted to.
Well, the way they wanted to play was obviously affected by the fact that Tuolangi was a really late withdrawal, and they'll have been practising, a reasonable amount with him in there, and lots of things, as we know, can flow from his selection. Not least the decoy runs that he would have been able to make, and they would have been able to exploit. That comes in the half to turn it round. How bigger? I mean, you've been in camps more recently than I have. That sort of withdrawal at that stage, what practical effect does that have?
It's big, I'd say, bigger than you would want to let on within camp, because ultimately you plan around having certain players available and playing a certain style of rugby, having that physicality in the midfield. England will have said, right, we're going to use Manu either with or without the ball to soften up Wales's defence, and that will give us opportunities and quick ball to play to different areas of the pitch. Now, when you take that out late, it almost forces your plan B earlier than you might have expected. And for Wales, probably knowing what Manu can do, they probably said, right, okay, we can actually get stuck into England a bit more now. And actually another thing they did very well in the second half was they got to Marcus Smith a lot. He had to make a lot of tackles, a lot of soak-up tackles, which meant they were on the front foot. But from England's perspective, obviously we don't know exactly when that incident happened, but enough that they were able to name the team and then pull him out. So as much as you try and hide it, it would have had an effect because they would have based a lot of their game plan around having that physicality and his presence in the midfield.
Alex Donbrandt would have been my man of the match. He scored England's only try of the game. Some controversy surrounding potential foul by Itoje in the build-up. People are asking, should it have counted? Well, it wasn't seen and no one complained about it, so it stands, and that's sort of it. Look, quick word on Wales. It was strange, wasn't it? Because they had a 5-minute period, 6-7-minute period in the first half when they were pressing on England, I couldn't get over. And then the rest of the half, they were largely indifferent and turned round and then found their attacking fluency and looked by far the more dangerous side. I just wonder, can you posit a reason why they couldn't get that in the first half?
It's tough. I mean, the one you would look at is discipline in terms of, the breakdown was a real issue for them early on. They allowed England to build a score, 3-6-9. The Liam Williams yellow was unnecessary, but that came from a period of pressure where England were finally able to generate some quick ball.
The line-out wasn't tidy either.
Line-out wasn't tidy.
Actually, England's line-out at times went on the blink as well.
But just as the away team going away from home, you say it all the time. We want to get off to a fast start, a good start. We want to keep the crowd out of it. And they weren't able to do that, and just too many errors on their side. And then you talk the Donbrandt try straight after half-time. At that point, it's like, right, okay, we've got nothing to lose now. We have to play. And maybe they need more of that attitude earlier, combined with less penalties, less errors, and that will get them in the game because they played some incredible stuff.
It's strange, isn't it? You talk about the England's penalty count again being probably higher than ideal, and yet in the first half didn't result in them conceding a point.
Well, areas of the pitch.
Yep.
their penalties were kickable. England's penalties weren't. They were in areas that weren't really going to hurt them. It meant, they kicked to the line out and the England's defence was still able to come into play. Whereas conversely, when England got those penalties, they resulted in points